first. Hardly a day goes by without some new announcement on drastic measures to cope with climate change. Yesterday, one of the world's biggest fossil fuel companies, BP, said it would be carbon neutral by 2050, presumably by planting enough trees to make up for all the oil it produces. And today, French President Emmanuel Macron, this bloke has a gold medal in virtue signalling, doesn't he? Well, Macron announced that all civil servants will be paid a bonus by the taxpayer to ride share or cycle to work, and that government ministers, he says, should catch the train for all trips under 4 hours. This comes at the same time as well as the Mayor of Paris planning to ban all petrol and diesel cars from the French capital by 2025. Now that's, 4 years away. He will, of course, still end up letting these cars into Paris after the deadline. It's just that it gives the so-called ban, he has an excuse now to slap them with fines. It's a bit like a backdoor congestion charge for fossil fuel cars. And of course, this just exposes how much these decisions are about a way to impose new and more green taxes. And mind you, on Macron, he's still using a plane to travel to Mont Blanc this week for a photo opportunity with a supposedly shrinking glacier. But who's surprised by any of this? You see, the costs of reducing emissions are always to be borne by other people, or they're to be put off until you're safely out of office and making gazillions, as most of these left-wing leaders do. Blair, Clinton, Obama, there's just a few. Which is why I don't place any credence in Boris Johnson's equally shallow announcement that no fossil fuel cars would be sold in Britain after 2035. Now, if he was serious, he'd announce it in real time and then take it to an election. But he's not. He's announcing it for decades down the track when someone else will have to defend it. So let's be clear. I support reducing emissions and I'm all in favour of renewable energy and electric cars, provided they work as well as their fossil fuel alternatives and there are no taxpayer subsidies. What I'm dead against is putting emissions reduction ahead of building prosperity and forcing poorer people to subsidise the green conscience of wealthy people by paying their taxes towards wind and solar power and electric cars that are neither practical nor economic. It's all very well to say you want to save the planet, and virtue signallers, well, they're not alone in that, because left or right, I don't know anyone who doesn't want to save the planet. But we have to accept that reducing emissions has costs, often very heavy costs, in terms of changed lifestyles as well as higher prices. And we can't just assume these costs away with a Pollyanna view of the world that future technology breakthroughs will make them all painless. This, of course, is what every politician or business leader or think tanker who demands carbon neutrality is really signing us up to. Much more wind and solar power, and that means much more expensive and much less reliable electricity, and far fewer manufacturing jobs in Western countries. They're signing us up to a rapid transition to expensive electric vehicles that take a long time to charge and can't go beyond the power grid. And of course, changes to our diet, because the main source of agricultural emissions are animal herds. In practice, what it will mean is heavier taxes on all the things you currently enjoy, like your home that's full of electrical appliances, the SUV or four-wheel drive in your garage, the cheap flight you currently get to Bali or to Europe, and the beef and lamb on your barbecue. That's the inevitable consequence of poorly thought through and uneconomic changes to how we live in Australia. And without a doubt, the clearest and best test to judge how fair income people are about reducing emissions is to bring up nuclear power. Because anyone serious about wanting lower emissions has also got to be serious about nuclear. When you do this and you get the almost inevitable objections, all the reasons why they won't and can't support nuclear power in this country, and that's your proof, isn't it? That it's not really our level of emissions that they want to change, it's us and how we live in Australia and the West more broadly. That's what they don't like. Carbon dioxide is just the excuse.